It is 5:01. This is the Finance and Property Committee meeting for July 5th, 2022. Notice is hereby given of the regular meeting of the Finance and Property Committee to be held in the council chambers of City Hall, 444 West Grand Avenue, Wisconsin Rapids, and via remote video conferencing July 5th, 2022 at 5 p.m. The public may listen to the meeting by calling 1-312-626-6799, meeting ID 845-411-42014. The meeting will also be streamed live on the City of Wisconsin Rapids Facebook page. This meeting is also available after its conclusion on the city's Facebook page and Community Media's YouTube page, which can be accessed at www.wr-cm.org. Item number 2, consider a request from the fire department to order the chassis for their next ambulance. Chief?
Thanks. I handed out an email that I received from our vendor. I actually had contact with our vendor up at the Chiefs Conference, and that's where she gave me the insight that if we want to be in the queue to even have an ambulance built in 2024, this chassis's got to get ordered on the order list. I guess everybody knows what the delay is with ordering nowadays, but two things with that. Number one, we get in the queue. The second thing is that locks our price on there so that even if 2024 comes around, we don't get a price increase on it. I looked in today in the budget, and our ambulance outlay, which is money we put in every year through the budget process, has $104,000 in there. So what we're asking for would come out of there. That's generally the way it happens. So I guess I'm looking for approval to go ahead and make that purchase and take that money out of that ambulance outlay.
Any questions, comments? Jake?
So I have a couple questions for you, Chief. First of all, do we have a regular rotation? Do you have a schedule for these things? How many do you have, and could you kind of just go through what you've got in your fleet right now?
Yep. So every 3 years we change them out. By the time we get done, I shouldn't say that. Every 3 years we get a new ambulance. What that equates to is every 12 years an ambulance goes out of service. Usually when that happens, it's starting to cost us a lot in maintenance. It usually has 180,000 or better on, depending upon how many transfers it's done. So every 3 years we purchase one, but every 12 years one goes out of service. And now we've kept that fifth one, so what that is just a backup. Now it'll be 15 before that one goes out of service. But when that one comes off the front line, it's something we can pull up at a moment's notice just to put in place of one that may have to go in because something happened. It's got to get new tires or something like that. So we keep 4 in service at all times.
So you're not getting rid of anything, you're adding a new ambulance. Is that correct? Did I understand that correctly?
No, when this one comes online, we will get rid of the one that's sitting in the 5th spot right now.
Got it. I just have a couple more questions. Is there only one vendor for these chassis?
Well, actually, it comes through Ford, but no, they're not the only vendor. We can order from whoever. We can get a bid from whoever, but we'd have to then send out requests for them. And we're getting down to the line of we want to be done in 2024. I don't think the bid for the chassis is going to come any different. That still comes from Ford, okay, or whoever the manufacturer is. But that bid's going to be the same, I think, no matter who you go through.
So, and I'm not asking you to predict what it's going to be in 2024, but what's the cost for the ambulance completely outfitted?
I think you're looking at about $312.
Okay. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Any other questions or comments? I have one. Are we going to, so you're saying the fifth one that's in rotation, we're holding on to it right now. Are we going to continue that and stretch it out to 15 years, or is this just a one-time thing?
No, I think we'll continue that. I mean, our call volume isn't getting any less. But the key with that is that fifth one is really just a backup. If that thing goes in service for 5 to 6 days a year, you're going to be lucky. It's for that emergency when ambulance has got to go in for some long-term maintenance. Long-term would be like maybe overnight or for more than one day. We got a recall on a transmission or something like that where we don't want to leave the people we serve one ambulance down. We can still keep at that same level, but it's not on the road every single day like the other 4 are.
And this has been standard practice for quite a while, I assume?
Actually, this last time, 2 years ago or a year and a half ago, when we took delivery of what is our Med 1 now, that's when, remember, you might not have been on then, Zach, or Matt, but we came and asked to keep that 5th one for just this reason, so.
Okay. And then all the money that you're asking for it's already been accounted for?
When I looked today, we had $104,000 in the ambulance outlay.
I don't have any, thank you. Dean?
No. I'll move to approve.
I'll second.
Any other further comments or questions? Seeing none, I move to a vote. All those in favor say aye.
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 All those opposed say nay. Aye, sorry. All those opposed say nay. Ayes have it. Number 3, consider a request from the fire department to apply for the Wisconsin Flex Grant.
So I gave you the grant request form that we filled out, and I kind of apologize that this happened so quickly, but we first got wind of this last week on Monday, and we spent all of last week trying to get quotes for the things that we wanted to place on this grant, and we finally got stuff back today. So I tried to quick hurry around, and Tim's off. So on there, the Emx Flex Grant is actually the American Rescue Plan funds that the state got, and they allocated to EMS because COVID was really directly from EMS. And it's a fund that's available. There's $12 million in the fund, and there's 5 categories that you can apply for. There's 2 that we need something in. Number 1 is the training, and that's outlined on there, and also the equipment fund. So we're looking to get 1 more Lucas. That is the automatic CPR machine. Right now we have 2. Our front two line ambulances carry them. We've already been in a position where we could have used that 3rd one. So this is an opportunity to get it paid for nothing. This is a 100% grant. And then some of the training aids are some live simulation mannequins, and some of the other equipment is CO and cyanide detectors that we can use for patients that come out of fires. Our current one is probably 15 years old and not really reliable. So those are pretty expensive, but it's key to identify those people that have been exposed to that CO and the cyanide, because we have the ability to give them medications that we carry that can control that and make sure that they don't have lasting effects from it. So those are the items that are in there. It's $41,000. Again, it's 100% paid by the state or the ARP funds, the Flex Grant, if we receive it.
Thank you. Any questions or comments? Seeing,
The one thing I will say is Tim is off and we couldn't get a signature, so I would be asking that, this is pending Tim's signature, but I'm pretty sure that Tim would sign it when he gets back.
Jennifer, do you need that in the motion, pending Tim's signature? Seeing no other comments right now,
I'll make the motion to approve the request for the Flex Grant pending Tim's signature, the finance director's signature.
Second.
Pardon me?
What's the amount on that? 41,000?
yes.
Yes, yeah.
I'll second it.
Any further comments or questions? Seeing none, I move to vote. All those in favor say aye.
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 All those opposed say nay. Ayes have it.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. Number 4, consider approval of proposals for the park and building supervisor to provide and install 6 HVAC packaged rooftop units to replace the existing units on the Centralia Center rooftop.
All right, so basically we have 12 rooftop units on top of the Centralia Center. 6 of them, the bigger ones, are pretty much where we can't even get parts from them anymore. We had to put in $1,200 last week to replace a motor that they had to rebuild, so we're just kind of putting money into something that we need to fix sooner than later. All the controllers that are in the building we can't get parts for those anymore. We have to buy stuff off of eBay, and sometimes those parts that we get don't even work. And if you know eBay, you don't get refunded for things that you purchase from them. So I got 2 price quotes one from Complete Control. Their total came out to $495 and some change. And then Tweed and Garrett was at $461,000. And to break it down, the replacing of the equipment for Tweed and Garrett was $241,000. That's the 6 units. That includes the train, the electrical, and the labor. And then the controllers came in at $220,000. And then for Complete Control, which I think you guys have in front of you, Tweed and Garrett had some IT issue today. They cannot email for some reason, so I did not have an updated version from them today, but Complete Control gave me an updated version on today's prices. And they submitted that this morning to me. To break that down, it was $206,000 for the rooftop units, and then $204,000 for the controllers, and then on top of that, it was an extra $54,000 for the crane, the labor, and running all the electrical for that. Also, just looking at like the master plan, this was created back, looks like in 2019. These units were installed in 2003, so that just kind of tells you how old they are, and they're kind of on their last leg. And the recommended and replacement dates were 2024, but it's getting to the point where, like I said before, we are replacing parts, and we're just kind of throwing, last month now, we've put $2,500 into replacing motors. So I think we're just throwing money away instead of just fixing the issue right away. We're out there, they say 28 to 54 weeks out on even getting these units in, so it could be another year before we even see them.
Questions, comments? Mayor Blazer?
So we had, internally, we had discussed that this might be a potential candidate for an ARPA project, being that there's a total of 12 rooftop units and a leaky roof over at Centralia. So since we had gotten some price quotes back then, and I think since then they've gone up almost $100,000 this year. So that's the issue we're running into. I didn't realize, so I talked to Jake, what the total cost was. We have currently in the depreciation fund at Centralia Center about $225,000. So it's about half the cost. And I think for a complete discussion, we probably should additionally have conversation at council, and when Tim's there, when he's back, and trying to figure out where we're going to get the other $225,000 from.
Questions or comments? My question is you said this was slated for 2024?
Sorry, that's what the master plan has on here, but I think that's just kind of a cross your fingers and let's hope it makes the 2024 thing. Yes, that's what it says on here, 2024.
Okay. And so the only money that's been being stowed away for this project, knowing that it was coming, was the depreciation of the Centralia account that you're talking about?
Correct. Tim allocates funding every year to that account. I know a large amount of it was, a number of years ago, was taken out to replace and redo the parking lot. So that's why we're at that's why we're at $225,000 right now. But like Jake said, I think even last winter we had to controller board that went out that the company no longer made. So for a low price of, I think it was $1,200, they made us a board to get us through, so we had heat in part of that building. But I think to be prudent, we need to have a discussion with Tim when he gets back on the other portion of that. Or if it's, I'm hesitant to suggest using ARPA funds now. I think that should be a greater conversation on other projects that, could be important projects too, even though this is also an important project. But I think we should have Tim part of that conversation.
So it sounds to me like we want to move this forward to council and we can ask further questions then, or does anybody
Yep.
else want to go through questions now?
So I guess the question is, do we want to make a motion to approve this and send it to council for discussion, or how do you want to do it?
Oh, we could approve it pending discussion with, approve it in concept.
So do we have to make a motion on it to pass it forward to council? Is that kind of the, how the,
Usually easier.
I'll make that motion to approve
Pending funding.
pending funding the installation of 6 HVAC packaged rooftop units to replace the existing units on the Centralia Center rooftop.
I'll second the motion. Any other comment?
Well, and there's still 225,000 in there, and ideally, it's not the 6, but if it came down to it, at least we could, choose 3 or whatever it may be. But we can have that discussion at council.
Just for clarification, you said that a chunk of that money that was being set aside for that was used on the parking lot when that was all done the other year?
Well, there hasn't been money specifically allocated for replacing the rooftops. They put together a master plan list of when things should be replaced over there, or on most of the buildings. They're just guessing the age of the life of the piece of equipment, not planning for its replacement, unfortunately, at this point. But there was more money in that account, and that account's used for anything at Centralia Center, whether it be building, parking lots. And like I said, a chunk of that was used in the parking lot to redo that versus maybe saving it for this.
So I don't know if you have the answer to this or not, but is this a Centralia Center a capital improvements type project, or that's a kind of a category unto itself?
Technically, I think that would fall under a capital improvements, and that's something, those type of things we need to be a little bit better planning at, and that's something that we're working on.
Yeah.
That these should be highlighted, and we should be aware of this coming up with that expense. And I think the roof alone is, what was it?
I think $500,000.
About $500,000 to replace that roof over there. Plus, there's still 6 more rooftop units over there that aren't going to be replaced.
How old are they?
Same age. It's all original built.
Yeah.
Correct?
Yep.
Yeah. So yeah, this is all from the original construction.
I like the, again, it just serves to enforce the capital improvement plan so that we are putting away money with regards to all these things. So I think it's very important.
I agree.
Jake?
So since we have roof issues, and these are rooftop units, I know it's another $500,000, but is this something we should be looking at as well, the roof? Well, is this
Yeah.
Part of this conversation.
Right. I think I'm 90% sure I did have the rooftop units in the 2023 capital budget for next year. But again, with the roof, it's not going to fix itself. We've been kind of putting bandages on there before I started here, the last 10 years probably. But yeah, I think it all should be in a package deal just to kind of get
Yeah, I
fixed.
think the last time though, the roofers said we're probably good, maybe 5 years out.
5 years, yeah.
5 years out, possibly on the roof. So the goal was, the goal was that maybe that might, give us some options, a little time on the roof itself. But the rooftops, we know they're failing at this point.
So we're looking right now at just what we're talking about, $1.5 million if we were gonna go out with 12 units and a roof, right?
Correct?
Is there other things that we're gonna be
For that,
struggling with?
for me, and I think Jake and I have spoken about it, it'd be ideal if we can get these things not on the same year. You can kind of plan a little bit easier, if it was spread out over years, if we can somehow kind of get to that point.
Yeah,
Ideally, so if we do the rooftops kind of now and then the roof in 5 years from now, we can plan for that 5 years a little bit, and then everything won't be occurring on the same years again in 20 years, which would be a little more better situation.
I guess my last question would be, we're asking for 6 because all 6 are
Yeah,
failing,
they're-
or can we part some of them out for the other ones so we can do what you're saying, Shane, where we can kind of stretch it over the years and then deal with the roof after we get all the units done?
So the other 6 that we would not be replacing are like the smaller rooftop units, so like those are like a quarter of a ton. Most of these rooftop units that we're looking at replacing are like a 9-ton unit, so they're just the bigger ones. So the 6
Okay.
that we're not gonna be replacing, I think we can still find parts for, and they're gonna be a lot cheaper than the 6 that were estimated, so.
I mean, is it possible to part out the existing ones for the other ones in order to,
I don't know. I do not have that answer.
might be something to look into
Yeah.
since they're all the same units, right? That
Mhm.
might be for now to get us through. Okay, so any other questions or comments? Seeing none, we have a motion and a second to move this on to committee. Any last chance for questions or comments? Seeing none, I put it to a vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed say nay. So moved. Item 5, consider a request from Drop In Again LLC, Tammy Caston, agent for retail Class B fermented malt beverages and retail Class B intoxicating liquor licenses for the premises located at 2963 State Highway 73 South. Jennifer?
Everything is in order for this, and we have Elizabeth here, who is from the LLC. She's one of the members of the LLC, if anybody has any questions. This is the sale of a bar to a new owner, so it's a new license.
Okay. Any questions or comments for Elizabeth?
I don't have any questions, but does she want to come up and say a few words? Well, maybe tell us a little bit about your business and.
I'm Elizabeth Meadow, and yes, I am buying monkeys. Cheryl and I have been in the process for it for about 6 months now, and I'm just taking over the franchise that she has. So that's where I'm at. What else would you like to know? Okay. I've been a resident of Wisconsin for the last, 47 years. I've lived in Georgia for 2.5 and moved back because we bought the place. So I'm not new to Wisconsin Rapids. I've lived here forever. So, yep.
All right, any questions or comments then? Seeing none,
Move to approve.
Second.
last chance for question or comment. Seeing none, I move to vote. All those in favor say aye.
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 Aye. All those opposed say nay. Ayes have it. Good luck. Item number 6, consider for approval the appointment of Geneva R. Rep from Successor Agent for the retail Class A fermented malt beverages and retail Class A intoxicating liquor licenses for Westside Expressmart LLC, doing business as Westside Expressmart for the premises located at 1040 West Grand Avenue. Sorry. That's good.
So this is just a change in agent for the business. The current agent and owner passed away. So this is instating a new agent for the business. So
Any questions or comments? Seeing none, I move to, well, I'm sorry, I entertain a motion.
So moved.
I'll second. Last chance, questions or comments? Seeing none, put it to vote. All those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Ayes have it. Item number 7, consider for approval, temporary retail Class B fermented malt beverages license for Central Wisconsin Cultural Center, Inc., 2651 A Street South for the following events. A, open mic event to be held from 7 p.m. to 10 p.m. on the following Fridays, August 26th, September 30th, October 28th, November 25th, and December 30th, 2022. B, the scratch board art of Alex Hewitt and Pat Roosh exhibit opening reception to be held from 5:30 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. on Thursday, September 22nd, 2022. And C, holiday gifts and art fair event to be held from 5:30 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. on Thursday, November 10th, 2022. And a temporary retail Class B fermented malt beverages license and temporary retail Class B wine license for an art on tap event to be held from 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. on Saturday, October 1st, 2022. Questions or comments? Jennifer, do you have anything?
these are all the, as you requested, these are all the events that they know about for the rest of the year. The reason the last one is separated out is because that one also includes wine. It's not just beer.
Good. No concerns and everything's in order?
No concerns. Everything's in order.
Questions or comments?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
I have a motion, I have a second. Any further questions or comments? Seeing none, I move to vote. All those in favor say aye.
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 Aye. All those opposed say nay. Ayes have it. Item 8, 2023 budget discussion. We have set up, been successful in setting up a committee of the whole, which we will be discussing that further then. Jennifer?
Yes, that'll be held on Thursday, July 14th at 6 o'clock.
Okay. So at this time, I would think we would hold off any questions, or we can, if anybody wants to bring up anything now, we can do that. Patrick?
Thank you. I just have one question. So it shows that we are under budget from last year, $2.6 million. Is that before the department heads put in their requests? Is that why it's so low?
Yeah, so, yes. And there's a lot of factors that haven't been put in the budget, a lot of unknowns that aren't in there yet. So this is very raw and rough. We sent out to all the department heads their budget worksheets. So we should hopefully be accumulating those also.
So this is due to change for sure.
Yeah, oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, this wasn't meant to be the final budget. It's going to be built upon.
Okay.
Unfortunately.
Thank you.
Yep.
Mayor Blazer?
Yeah, I think for the council people that are here and that are going to be watching, and I brought it up to Matt recently that I think the council needs to, as we go into this committee of the whole meeting, to kind of think about, do you want to see the budget cut? Do you want to see the budget cut by percentage? Do you want to see the budget cut or is there not enough people to want to see that? Because I think this exercise will be a little more fruitful if those are kind of known up front. If we come into this and the majority of the council think we're all happy with the budget the way it is, then I don't think staff needs to spend a lot of time working on it to try to find those cuts. But if the council feels that, yeah, we'd like to see a $2 million reduction in the budget, then I think that would be also some of that task put on department heads to really seriously take out things that are absolutely not essential, and then we have to continue to look. So I think if we could kind of come into this committee of the whole meeting with a little better thought on what you would like to see the budget. Not, I know a lot of your thoughts already from just even watching the last budget meeting, but I think if we can lay that groundwork right away, and especially being the council president and running that meeting, know that up front, and then where we can work from there, instead of doing a lot of work and at the end the budget time or when the votes start coming in and it's different than we think. I think a discussion up front would be helpful. And then we all kind of are on the same page of where we want to go over the next few months.
Patrick, do you have anything else? I do agree, but I did think a little bit about that. And my concern there would be it's a little bit kind of cutting out the process right away. Like I know it's work and I know it's gonna take some, but if we don't go through the exercises, then it's just going to be status quo, and the status quo, it's what's got us this far in debt. And even the gentleman that we paid a ton of money to farm our debt out for us is saying we're on the edge, So I guess I would hate to just put it out there and say, hey, let's take a vote now and say who's willing to actually take the steps to cut or not, without having put in any work. It might just be a shortcut to say status quo. So that would be my concern with that. So that's just some thoughts I had.
But on the other side, though, the majority of the council may think status quo is okay, though. I think that would be the discussion really needs to be had, is that where do we want to go with this budget? Are we good with how we're doing going forward, or do we need to look at a goal of reducing borrowing or reducing borrowing by half? Or I think having some of that knowledge up front, while staff is trying to work on the budget and trying to work with council on the budget, I think it'd be helpful and more fruitful in the exercise. But I think at least a discussion. And if everybody says, we're just going to work it out and see where it's at, then we're good with that too. But I just think it would be productive to have that discussion.
I agree in that sense. I guess I'm seeing where the shortfalls to that discussion could lead, kind of. Patrick?
I agree. And so if the council does end up in a tie, where do you stand on this? Are you for a balanced budget, or are you for continuing going in debt?
I look forward to that discussion. I'm concerned. I honestly, I don't live my life by debt either. But I think it's trying to find that balance of providing services to the city and where those services are being provided and the value of those services. Are there things, a lot of our activities here we have to do, and there's some things we choose to do that are extra, but in the grand scheme of thing, are those extras getting us to that $2 million that we'd like to maybe not borrow? I don't know if they're large enough, and I think having this discussion and this, seriously hard look at some of these activities will be beneficial.
Matt?
Good one, though. Sorry, Dean.
No problem. I think one of the goals that we had talked about last year was getting on this earlier. And I think that's something we definitely are moving forward with. I think that seemed like last year was a little bit last minute and approving things that, because we weren't even privy to it much earlier. And so my goal was to, let's get this thing out as early as possible. And Tim's not here, but I do want to commend him on getting on this thing as early as May and starting things working so that we can get a handle on it pretty early, at least get the idea of what the mayor's talking about in the general consensus of the council where we're thinking we need to be at that point. And so doing it in July as opposed to late September and October is probably a good thing. That's kind of what I was looking for, and that's where we're at on that, so.
Okay, yeah.
Also, I don't know if you're all aware, but in August, we have a new library director starting. And so this will be a great opportunity to, she's going to come in and evaluate what's going on over there and the programs and the processes and all those type of things. So, that discussion, we commit, as soon as she gets on board here, I plan to have a meeting with her and kind of get her up to date and kind of relay some concerns and those type of things. But she'll be on board for this budget season and they'll look at things, which I think will be a good thing.
When does she start?
August.
Maybe if we could get her into the council meeting that month, just to learn a little bit about her, probably would be a good idea.
Just curious on that note, anyone of the city council members can go to the meetings, right? Make it good. All right, any other questions or comments? I don't think we have to take a vote on this?
Nope.
All right. Item number 9, audit of the bills. Jay?
I'll make a motion to approve checks numbers 13149 to 13490.
I'll second that motion. Any questions or comments? Seeing none, I move to vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed say nay. Ayes have it. Item 10, set next meeting date. August 2nd, 2022 at 5 o'clock here in City Council chambers. All good on that. Don't have to vote. Item number 11. In open session, the committee may vote to go into closed session under section 19.851E of the Wisconsin statutes, which reads, deliberating or negotiating the purchasing of public properties, the investing of public funds, or conducting other specified public business whenever competitive or bargaining reasons require a closed session. Just curious, Jennifer, am I setting it up right now to go into closed session?
So you take a vote on if you want to go into closed session or not?
Okay, do I need to read this other part of it before or after? The second?
No, because we adjourn and close.
You can read the part about in closed session what the committee's going to do.
All right, in closed session, the committee may discuss negotiations and strategy regarding redevelopment and possible purchase of the former Northern Steel Castings, Inc. foundry located at 330 9th Avenue South, parcel ID 3402599. So I make a motion to go into closed session
And that the committee will adjourn in closed session.
and that the committee will adjourn in closed session at the end of the session.
Second.
Second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed say nay.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, sir.
can we ensure that I'm carried over to closed session, please?
Where did Tyler go?
Yes, we will make sure of that. Is Tyler around back there? So So we're now in closed session. Ayes had it.
Who's the lit up number? Do we know who that person is, one that's lit up? The 542? Oh, that's Jennifer, never mind.